Hello again, everybody. You're getting double whammy videos from me catching up because we had that funeral today and I put makeup on, and I don't wear makeup very often because it's a pain in the ass to put on. So while I've got it on, I'm going to just go ahead and do both. I just did the growing up Mormon and then leaving video, and now I'm going to go ahead and do the next video in the series on my MLM journey, the MLM Journal that got this whole channel started with people asking me to read from my journal all those 29 times I was in MLM. And if anybody's just coming on here and you haven't seen any of my other videos, we're talking about multi-level marketing. And go back and watch the other videos. They have to be watched in order. This one won't make a lot of sense. I'm going to put in the description box below the link to the last video, which was 10 months ago. I'm trying to make up for lost time. And the last video, we left off where I was in Riverside, California, dropping out of school, just a horrible hot mess, and packed up to move back up to San Jose, California, because I felt like I needed to be back up there. And an actual whole year went by before I joined an MLM again, because I told you I had become a carpenter's apprentice for the guy at Singles Ward. He was one of the bishopric. And I think I lasted for him maybe 6 weeks. No, it was 2 months. It was 2 months. I lasted for him 2 months, and he was really hard to work for. So the lady the family I was living with, my friend Tim from my mission, his mother had told me that two of the gals in the ward, their old bishop's daughters, they had started a house cleaning business up there in the neighborhood where they live. They live in a really affluent neighborhood by Anderson Reservoir in Morgan Hill. It's up on a hill. And they got clients in their neighborhood. And they did really well with it. And all they did was make flyers and put them out on people's doorsteps. And they got clients, and they were making money because the one saved up enough money to go on a mission. And then the other one, she saved up money to pay for all of her wedding expenses. And I thought, oh, I like that because I'm not working for anybody. I'll be working for myself instead of this flaky guy he's working at the chapels. But yeah, I couldn't. I was just getting where I couldn't stand him. So I had to do something. And the irony behind it was I had met my husband, and he needed a job. And so he took my place working for that guy. And he lasted at that job 11 months before he says, I can't do this anymore. And we were already married by then. But I said, you could join the military. And I was the one that encouraged him to join the Air Force because I was in the Army Reserves by this time. So I started beauty school. So that was the thing, was I started my own house cleaning business, and this was all over Christmas break of 1991. Okay, I make the flyers up to start house cleaning, and I get all these calls, so I got enough for clients to be working every day. Well, and I was starting beauty school, and I was going at night part-time, so I only could work part-time during the day. I couldn't handle a full-time job and go to school part-time. I don't know how these people that they work full-time and they go to school full-time, I don't know how they do it, because it would have put me in the nut house. And I gave Ray, my boss, 2 weeks notice, but I found him my replacement, so he couldn't be that mad at me. Ah! And anyway, so by the first of the year, and I had met John, who's going to be my husband. I met him on the 29th of December, standing in the tithing settlement line at church. At the end of the year, if you're in the Mormon church, you're paying your 10% on everything you make. And at the end of the year, you have to go sit with the bishop, and he gives you this paper. It shows how much money you've given to the church because you can use it in your taxes. So they call it tithing settlement. And I was standing in line, and a friend of mine who I was supposed to go out with on New Year's Eve, he introduced me to my husband. So that's not this story. That's for the other story on growing up Mormon. But this is just tells you where I was at. I had switched jobs and started my own business, and I did that for. Okay, so I met my husband, and I told you it was the 29th of December. By the 19th of January, we were dating, and he proposed to me on Valentine's Day. Okay, so next week is our 31st anniversary for engagement. And we had planned on getting married June 12th, which was his parents' anniversary. But he got cold feet. Because he was, at this time, I was almost 30. I was 29, almost 30. He was 24. And yeah, he was getting cold feet. And then I had to tell him, buddy, I've got other people got my eye on. If you're gonna get cold feet, then you're not marrying me. I'll marry somebody else. Because I had been engaged 6 times by this time, and I wasn't putting up with anybody's bullshit anymore. So we just changed the date to July 10th. But we couldn't keep our hands off each other. We were hot to trot. He was a virgin. I was not, by a landslide. And once you've been sexually active, you know what it's like. It's hard to stay pure. But I did it for my mission. But I was ready to get married. And we couldn't keep our hands off each other. And so we thought if we wait any longer, we won't be able to get married in the temple, because you've got to be really pure to get married in the temple in the Mormon church. We actually had our bishop sit down and write with church logo parameters of we couldn't be in the car alone after 9:00 at night, because that's when the Holy Ghost goes to bed. And I know this has nothing to do with an MLM, but this is what was going on at this time. And so we got married in July. And by September, it was September, October, I was realizing that we never saw each other. I was cleaning houses all day, going to school at night, and I went to school all day on Saturdays, except reserve weekend, where I would be doing Army duty, and sometimes they'd let me have extra days, like a whole week, where I'd be working full time at the unit at Moffett. I was going to Moffett Field up there in Mountain View by Sunnyvale. And my school would let me out for a week so I could go serve duty. We never saw each other, and I was like, I didn't get married to never see my husband. And I thought something's got to change here. And so I was starting to see the writing on the wall with the cosmetology industry in California. And I did not like what was going on. Anybody I knew, you'd have to really have all of your own equipment and your own rental space, or work out of your house. Otherwise, you'd be working in some, almost like a sweatshop, a type of salon, trying to make ends meet. And I also noticed too that the chemicals in like the perm solution and the monomer they use for the acrylic nails, and then the hair dyes, were making me sick. My lungs were wheezing really bad, and I wasn't feeling well. And I thought, you know what, I'm dropping out. And I did. So I'm a beauty school dropout. Halfway through. I had done 6 months. And I dropped out for the sake of my marriage. And I've never regretted it. Never regretted it at all. And then I encouraged my husband to join the Air Force, because I missed having those benefits of like the health care, and then getting money for school, which I got grants for the beauty school. I didn't have to use they didn't call it the GI Bill back then. It was VEAP, Veterans Educational Assistance Program. I just wanted to be a wife and take care of my husband. That's what I wanted to do. So he talks to the recruiters, and he decides to go in the Air Force. And that November was the day after Thanksgiving. He had to go ship out to the MEPS and leave. So we didn't even get to spend our first Christmas together. We celebrated it on Thanksgiving so that we could have Christmas. And they hadn't promised him a specific job, so we didn't know what he was going to do or where we were going to go. And so to occupy my time while he was gone, because we were living in San Martin, renting a mother-in-law quarters from this couple at the church. And he came to San Antonio, to Lackland, to do his basic training. And then because he didn't have in his enlistment documents, they didn't promise him any specific job. It was open, and he was in limbo for like 3 weeks before they decided, oh, you're going to be in supply, and we're sending you to the warehouse at Kelly. So we're going to San Antonio. So I was looking for something to do to occupy my time while he was working, or while he was in basic training. And I had been a missionary in the ward. They made both of us, since we were both returned missionaries, and I was a fresh returned missionary. They made both of us ward. They call them ward missionaries, where we work with the full-time missionaries to help integrate the new members into the church. And I was still doing that by myself when he went into basic training, but that was only going out one night a week, maybe. So what do I start to do? The only thing I know, and it's Tupperware. I went back for the 6th time? What was the other video? It was, so this is the 6th time. We're at the journal entry number 9, and it says Tupperware. We lived in San Martin after marrying John and dropping out of cosmetology school, fall of 1992, when John joined the Air Force. I was 30. I did really well with it. For the first time, thought about becoming a manager. And I write here my manager's name, but I'm not going to say her name, just out of privacy, because I don't have bad things to say about her. She did it all right, everything right as far as being a manager in Tupperware. She was doing her 5 parties a week. She had the van that they give you when you're making $5,000 a month in sales. And she taught me how to do that. She taught me to be just like her. And I did really well. And I was thinking, it'd be nice to have another car, because the second car we had, John was driving it, that he got from his employer, Ray. And that thing had to be jump started every time. So we just had my car that I bought with my inheritance when my mom died a couple of years earlier. And it would have been nice to have a second car. And I thought, if I could make enough money to get that van, that would be really nice. Because they also pay for the insurance as long as you're making the $5,000 a month. And I'll talk about that later. The downfall to that. She taught me how to have fun with the parties, to make them a real party, playing games, to involve everybody. Because we had some men come with their wives, which I hadn't had parties where the men were coming too, and I wanted them to feel included. So I was having fun. I was having fun selling Tupperware, because it was something a product I knew I grew up with, as you've heard me talk about. I enjoyed selling a product that I liked. I thought, what's good for me is good for other people. I'm going to talk about it. And it was occupying my evenings. So as soon as I finished cleaning houses, I would go home, have some lunch, I don't know if I took a nap or not. I probably wrote a letter to my husband. This is back before the internet. And then get dressed up and ready to go out to do a party. And also, I was making Christmas presents that year because, like I said, we were living in a mother in law apartment and we were paying a lot. This is still Silicon Valley, it's a higher rent. And it was hard to make ends meet. And so I was making Christmas presents. I was making chocolates, homemade chocolates with fillings, different colors and different designs. And then I was making Christmas ornaments out of plaster Paris. I could paint them, give them away. So I was doing that on the side, making stuff to give away. And then I'd take the wash over to my in-laws to wash clothes at their house because they had a washer and dryer. And my husband's got seven brothers. I mean, there's seven of them. He's got six brothers, and he's the oldest. And so my mother-in-law would have me give her hot oil treatment on her hair, and then I'd cut the guy's hair, and that's how we traded off. Would do wash at their house, and I'd have dinner and then come home. Anyways, cutting their hair, and giving her hot oil treatments while I was doing the wash. So nice little trade off there. And actually, I still cut our son's hair because our son has autism. He does not like to be touched by other people. So he's almost 26. So I cut his hair because I was taught how to cut hair. I cut my own hair for a while, and then my husband usually cuts my hair. Taught him how to cut my own hair. He colored my hair for the first couple of years we were married. I taught him how to do that. So the going to beauty schools paid off because I can still do all those skills. I just don't do the chemicals because they smell horrid. But anyway, so back to the journal entry. It was, yeah, so my manager, um, she was a great mentor to me, and I absolutely loved doing the parties and meeting new people. When John got orders, and this was the big thing, was okay, so he was in holding for, like I said, for 3 weeks, trying to figure out where they were going to send him for his duty station and what he was going to be doing. He calls me and he put in, because they'll give you a choice to make your wish lists. And we wanted to go to Travis because it was right there by his family. But one place we didn't want to go, well, I didn't want to go, was Riverside because I knew March Air Force Base was there. I grew up around March, but I didn't want to go back to Riverside. I left and I didn't want to go back. Well, guess where they sent us? They sent us to Riverside to March. So, which actually was easy, and maybe they felt like since I had family there, it would be easy to get to know the area since I already knew it, since I grew up there, and I don't know. Um, my experience with them is they don't give a shit one way or the other where you want to go. They'll send you wherever they want to, and sometimes they'll send you where you don't want to go just out of spite. That's my experience. So anyway, yeah, so he got orders for Riverside, and once we moved, I said this before with Tupperware, if you move, you got to start all over again. Now, I don't know what it's like now because I haven't talked to anybody in Tupperware in, God, a decade at least. I don't know how they still do that if you're able to keep your customers and keep your customers over state lines or over. I mean, I had customers who were like in Las Vegas when I was in Riverside, family members, and you're allowed to do that. So I don't know how they do it now. I just know back then I had to say goodbye to my manager and actually, yeah, go start all over again in Riverside. So I went back to the same distributorship I had been to before. And some of those managers, like my old manager I had, I recognized her. She didn't remember me, thank goodness, because I didn't want her to remember the hot mess that she had. I was trying to get my life sorted out at this point. But anyway, so I was only in Did I start before John left? It seems like I did. I think it seems like I started in October or November, and then we moved in February. So what is that? 5 months at the most, and that was the end of that stint with Tupperware that time. But then I turned right around, and within, see, we moved in February, end of January, February. By March, I got back in to Tupperware again. And I'll talk about that in the next video. That'll be part 5. Did I say it was part 5 or get this? Not part 5. That's the Mormon video. Journal entry 10, Tupperware, the 7th time. That's what it'll be. Good Lord. And it'll be next week. I'm trying to start a roll here, keeping up consistency here with you guys. So, because I really would like to get more people watching and learning and maybe commenting. Please like, subscribe, and hit the bell if you feel inclined. And again, thank you for watching, because I really do appreciate the time you take out of your busy day to come here and watch. And I'll see you next time. Bye.